Scott Anglin. Scott
Scott
Anglin.
Anglin.
He grew up where I grew up. He killed himself. It will be a year in June. Donna Currie wants me to ask about him. He was talking to her the night that he killed himself. He had a lot of motorcycle accidents and a lot of physical pain. Um, he, she was not expecting him to kill himself. The last thing that he said to her was, "Why, why do you always got to be such a bitch?" Like they were messing around, like playing, like playful. And she wants to know. Let me see.
He's smiling. When you mention his name, the first thing he shows me is this is the weird thing, right? Just hang with me.
Can you see him, Jimmy?
Having a bunch of knives. That's him. That's not his hair.
I
Oh yeah,
can't.
it's a hat. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
him.
Okay, okay.
I'm like, he
I
doesn't have
think
bangs like that.
I think he knows me from high school. I think he
He
knows.
knows of you. Yes, he said
Okay,
yes.
yeah. Okay.
He showed me taking a knife, and he was putting the knife in his body, and he was showing me these lines of pain, discomfort, hurt up on his back. His shoulder's really damaged. He's got head injuries. He's got knee, hip, and a foot. And it's all on different sides. It's not like a one-sided thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that he wanted to show me that he was cutting himself. It was that's how painful it was
Being alive.
being alive. He did not live in his body very well. He also is showing me he does own knives and he has guns.
Yeah. I think
Like
he.
that's part of his lifestyle.
Right. I think he shot himself. It sounds like you were with Donna Currie the night that you shot yourself. She said the last thing my buddy Scott Anglin said to me was to not be such a fucking bitch. And we laughed about it. And I told him that I don't enjoy being such a fucking bitch and for him to quit making me be one. I feel that he can see clearly now. And would he like to say something else to me? I do try to hear from him.
Yeah. He says you're still a fucking bitch and he just starts laughing. But it's like he uses it as a compliment. It's such a strange thing.
I think he
You
takes
hold
it as a
people
compliment. Yeah.
you hold people accountable. You stay on top of them and you are not afraid of it. And it just blows him out of the water.
Yeah.
And he's just clearly saying, you did not stop doing this. And he thinks it's really funny. And you've taken on a lot of other people underneath your wing. He's showing me 3 other friends who are having a really hard time.
Mm.
Looks like 1 woman, 2 males. And he says that you're doing the same thing with them as you did with me. You bring them joy. You show them their faults, like the darkness they can't see because they have blinders on. And he says, you're very willing. He says, I think it's up to me now. I said it right. He says, it's up to me now to come forward and help you, help others, so that you can have the rest, the strength, and less mental tear. He says you get a lot of mental tears and it's really uncomfortable and you get caught in these thinking cycles and you get really like vicious with yourself. So he's helping you by taking them out.
She's trying to quit.
He's laughing.
Yeah. She's wearing a patch right now. She needs your help, she said. She's trying. She had a hip replacement recently. So she's, I think, made 1 outing so far. But,
He says, I'll help get her there.
okay. What are signs that you're around that I could tell her? Because she tries to feel you and tries to communicate. Like she said, here's what happened, Scott. She was watching Griff's Gift, Griffen, and she said, she texted me out of nowhere. She was watching Griff's Gift, and I didn't even know she watched Griff's Gift, which was a blessing to hear that. And she said in the middle of watching it, her cousin, Frankie Sweat, who I went to school with, called her, like, Griffen, you doing a little synchronicity? And she was thinking about Scott, doing the thinking that Scott's saying,
Yeah.
and she said that Frankie called, who I love dearly, is her cousin, and said, you know, and she was wondering what her granny Sweat that's in heaven would say, and Frankie said, here's what she would say, da 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 da, because it sounded like she was obsessively thinking about Scott, worried or whatever that thinking that she's doing that you're talking about, and that synchronicity happened, and she texted me right away. She goes, the most beautiful thing just happened. And she goes, I think it's a sign. Yeah.
He gives quite a few signs. He said, she doesn't really stop and slow down where you can have a moment. So you have to do it to her while she's in action. But he was mentioning a gentleman who's alive that's around her named George. I can't think of another name that would sound like George.
Okay.
Not Jorge. The sound of it, not the spelling. Nice try, Griffin. Um, that is going to be helping her untie the tension that she has in her heart
Mhm.
and start helping her with breath work and getting like therapy done with her emotions. And he says if she doesn't start therapy with her emotions 6, 7, 8 years, he sees a lot of tension and heart issues. And he says, and that runs in her family. So that's going to be something she needs to be mindful of. He's laughing because he just used the word mindful successfully in a sentence, because apparently that's not the way he talks.
Right. Right.
I like his laugh. It's like if you could take like a little girl laugh and put it in like a big man voice.
Mhm. 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 He's a country boy, probably, is my guess.
He says, is there any other kind of boy?
No. um, what was I gonna say? So how are you, Scott? And were you thinking about taking your life for a long time? Like you explained, like I get it. You explained that you were in so much pain. So are you in pain anymore?
Yeah. He says, I honestly thought I would die on the bike. That's
Yeah.
what he was waiting for.
Right.
He just knew that would happen.
When you were talking to her that night, were you thinking in your head, I'm going to go home and kill myself? Did it happen like that? Or had you been planning it a while? Because she said she had no idea that you were going to do that.
No, he said he'd been planning it for a while.
Okay.
And he says that she got my last happy moments. And I
Oh,
was happy because I knew it was over and I wouldn't have to
go
worry
through
about it
pain.
the next day.
Right. Just too much pain, Scott, to endure, like it not compatible with life, like every day. Painful, painful, painful. Physical
He
pain?
says you can't, yeah. Yeah, he's really talking about physical pain.
Right. That's what
It's
she
not
said.
it's not mental, it's not like he needed help or like therapy.
Would have helped.
His
Right.
body it's painful.
Right.
He said it was so much so he couldn't sleep. He couldn't remember the last time he's had a really good sleep. And
Mm,
he says, and I know that played a part in it too, but
right.
um,
Are you good?
nothing that I did could slow it down.
Right. A lot of people that we grew up with will be listening to this. Do you have a message for anyone? I know you're with your mom and grandma and your dad. I think you're with your dad too. Um, do you have a message for anybody? Are you doing well? What's heaven like? Have you adjusted? You know, do you keep
He
an eye on
actually,
everybody?
he says, yes, ma'am,
Okay,
which is funny
I know.
to hear
Don't
the
call me
ma'am.
ma'am. I'll hang up on you. Call me miss.
He's laughing. He goes, that's a good one.
Everybody says ma'am in the South, but it makes ladies feel old.
Am I supposed to say that out loud? You can decide to edit this or not.
uh,
He says, ma'am or not, you're still good looking.
oh, thank you,
And
sweetheart.
then he had another line in there that was very sexual and
Oh,
then laughed.
tell me, Jamie. I want to know. I haven't had sex in a long time.
He'd do a ma'am. There you go. Just leave it at that.
People love Jamie and my banter. I've gotten a lot of compliments lately. They want us to put a full screen because they like our chemistry, Jamie. I didn't tell you, but they needed to see that. I've got water all over the floor, and we will do that soon, but I'm going to come out to Atlanta and film with you first.
Yes, please
Yeah,
come
I'm
play.
ready. Yeah. But that was funny. That was funny. That's good to hear
So
because, when you do feel like a ma'am and that's a nice compliment. Thank
he
you. I'll
says,
take
I
it as
hope
a
you don't
compliment.
take that to heart at all.
Oh, I'm going to take it to heart. That's going to get me through my day. What are you talking about?
Oh, he meant as ma'am being negative. Don't
Oh,
take that
no.
to heart.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
the
no.
others,
I
he
know
says you
that's
can take
Southern.
with you.
Okay.
Yes, he is still with his family on Earth.
Okay.
He
But your mom and
is with
dad are
his
with you.
father
Grandma's with you, I think.
in spirit,
Uh-huh.
but he keeps showing me a gentleman that's alive.
I think you have a brother or somebody that's still alive is what I feel like.
Feels like a brother, the way
Because
he's
I
talking
saw a
about him.
last name and I asked her if he left behind siblings and she didn't answer my question before we went on. I know your mom and dad are passed and your grandma, but I feel like you have a brother. And I feel like he's trying to join me on my Facebook page lately.
I have pain when we talk about the guy, the brother,
Uh-oh.
from my neck all the way down into my thumb.
Great. Is he a
And
motorcycle rider too? Ugh.
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not a hand injury, it's neck.
Okay.
And he's talking about getting physical therapy,
Okay.
even though you're not disabled by any means.
Right.
Please have physical therapy, he says. He is really trying to help other people have less pain and enjoy being in their body because he couldn't do that for himself. So he's passing along his country wisdom
I love it. I love it. Had you
on
had
being
you
present.
had you met Griffin before, Scott?
Before today, he
Yes.
says, in passing,
Okay.
yes. He
Okay.
said, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
um, but this is the first day of really being in front of each other and chatting and
Right.
talking.
Right. Right. Right.
Your mother is very good at connecting people.
My mom?
Yes.
Oh, I love that. I love that. You know, one day, can you help me, Scott? If you have anything else to say, you can come back anytime, and I've got a million questions. I'm gonna move on, but I'm gonna let everyone know you're okay and you're doing great. Do you like Kevin?
He goes, I thought you said you like Kevin. He goes, I don't know who Kevin is.
Heaven or
Kevin, do you like Kevin?
the big house, home?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, he does. And
Okay.
he does this gesture every now and then where he like scratches the side of his face or his neck.
Okay. And you know who I'd want to talk to one day, that I didn't know very well is Vonnie, Bates Crow. Um, I'm not going to talk to her today because I don't have my questions set up for her, but I think of her often, and her daughter's in prison, and worry about her little girl from drunk driving, and she
He
killed
says,
a
yeah,
killed a
yeah,
lady. And I'd love to talk
yeah.
to her. And I'm wondering if she did come to one of the readings early on, and I couldn't figure out who it was. But anyways, tell her I love her. I didn't know her very well, but that I pray for her daughter all the time, and I will. I would love to talk to her sometime if she'll come forward.
He says, will do. He says, these are small town stories.
Okay, and say
We all
hi
love
to
everybody.
right, and say hi to Ricky Gray and all them. I read his son is really missing him today. So yeah. So, but okay. So take care of yourself, and thanks for coming, and come back anytime.
He says, thank you. You too.
Okay. Okay.